Hey guys, so today's video is going to be a wrap up for March. There's just so much to talk about, so I'm not going to waste any time at all. We're going to jump straight into this. Forgive me if I kind of go over things quickly. So the first book that I have to talk about is Hook's Revenge, which is by Heidi Scholes. This is one of my favorite books of the year so far. It was just fantastic. This is about Jocelyn Hook, who is Captain Hook's daughter. Eventually, she ends up finding herself in Neverland to go on this adventure to avenge her father's death. It can be really difficult to take such a popular world as Neverland and kind of make it your own and do it well, but this author did. Everything about it was great. I loved all of the characters. I can't wait for the second book. I highly recommend it. I give it a full 5 stars. I just really quickly have to show you the illustrations by John Hendricks because, I mean, look at them. They're absolutely beautiful. Then I read A Little Something Different by Sandy Hall. I read this in one sitting, so obviously I really enjoyed it. This is a love story, but it is told through 14 different perspectives, and these perspectives are of people and objects around these two main characters. I loved that aspect. I thought it made this so original and refreshing. I ended up giving this 4 stars in the end. I think it's one that you should definitely pick up and try because it's just so unique and it was done really well. I also read The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I'm planning on doing a full video review for this because I just have a lot of things to say about it. This is a psychological thriller which I'm really into right now. I ended up giving this a 5 stars because I just really liked it. I read The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairylands in a Ship of Her Own Making, which is by Catherine M. Valente. This was so good. It's just such a wonderful adventure, and the writing, it was just so whimsical and magical and beautiful. So I loved it. I gave it a full 5 stars and I definitely recommend it. I read The Longest Ride by Nicholas Sparks. This one has like 3 different perspectives and you kind of have 2 different love stories going on at the same time. My favorite thing about this book was the ending and how it all wrapped up and how the stories were connected. I thought that was really cool. It was really good. I really enjoy Nicholas Sparks. I can't say this one is my favorite of his though, but it was still good. So I did enjoy it. I ended up giving it a 4 stars. Then I read The Vintage Teacup Club, which is by Vanessa Green. This one is about these 3 women who end up finding a vintage teacup set and they all 3 want it for different reasons. So they come up with this plan to actually share the set and they end up becoming friends through this, and so the story is just about their lives separately but also together and how they become friends and stuff. It was really good. It's very British, which I loved. So yeah, I think I gave it a 3 or 4 stars on Goodreads. I read Rat Queens Volume 1, Sass and Sorcery. This is about this group of women who kind of go on quests. It was really fun. I liked it a lot. When I first started reading it though, I was a little put off by the humor. Like I felt like it was so in your face. But the more I read it, I got used to it. By the end of the book, I was just like needing more. So I really liked it and I gave it a 4 stars on Goodreads. I read Captain Marvel Volume 1, which is called Higher, Further, Faster, More. This was my very first Captain Marvel comic and it was so good. It was a lot of fun and I actually ended up giving this a 5 stars. The artwork was great as well. Then I read my very first manga. It was The Iron King by Julie Kagawa, which is one of my favorite book series, so I was excited to try the manga and I enjoyed it. It wasn't anything like crazy special, but it was really fun to read and kind of refresh my memory on the story and experience it again. I think I gave it a 3 stars. I read the 3rd volume of Scott Pilgrim and I really enjoyed this. I like this series. I kind of feel the same about every book. They're very quirky, but they're just a lot of fun to read. I gave this one a 4 stars. I read the first 4 volumes of Amulet, and this is by Kazuo Kabushi. They are all fantastic and I gave every single one of them 5 stars. The artwork is some of my favorite artwork of all time. I mean, it's just in every single book. It's fantastic. Loved them so much. Definitely recommend them. I read In Real Life by Cory Doctorow and Jen Wang. This one is about this girl who kind of really gets into this gaming website. It's kind of focused heavily on global economics and kind of took a serious turn, which I wasn't really expecting. I thought the artwork was just fantastic. It was so much fun to read. I gave this one a 4 stars. Then I read a novella this month. It was This Night So Dark by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. It's definitely not necessary to read for the series. I enjoyed the writing because I do like this series. It was fun. That's really all I can say. I gave it a 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I read The Adventures of Superhero Girl, which is by Faith Erin Hicks. It's just really funny. I loved the main character and her adventures. The artwork is fantastic. I gave this a 5 stars, so I obviously really loved it. Then I read 3 different things by Liz Prince, so I'll start with this one. This is Alone Forever, the Singles Collection, and it's just a collection of hilarious comics about relationships and being alone forever. It was so funny. I absolutely adored this. I gave this a 4 stars. Then I read Will You Still Love Me If I Wet the Bed, which is just this teeny tiny book. It's just these really super short comics. Each page has like a different story, and they're all about Liz's relationship with this guy Kevin, and they're so cute. I love their relationship. I thought this was so adorable, so I gave this a 4 stars and I really liked it. The last thing I read by Liz Prince is Delayed Replays, and this is also just a collection of really short comics. I didn't actually enjoy this collection that much. There was only a couple that really made me laugh, and then the rest I kind of didn't understand them. I didn't think they were very funny. I would say definitely start with something else by her because all the rest of her stuff is so good. I ended up giving it, I think, a 2 stars. I read books 3 and 4 in the Lunch Lady series. It's about this lunch lady who fights crime, which is really fun. So yeah, it's definitely for younger readers. It's very simple, but I enjoy them every now and then. So yeah, these were good and I gave them a 3 stars. I read A Giraffe and a Half by Shel Silverstein, which is just a picture book, and it's a lot of fun. I love Shel Silverstein and I gave this a 4 stars. I read The Shadow Hero by Jin Louine Yang and Sonny Liu. I did not realize when I picked this up, but this is kind of a remake of an original comic called The Green Turtle, and in the back of this book it actually includes some of the original comics, which is really cool. I loved this so much more than I thought I would. The artwork is just absolutely wonderful, so I highly recommend this graphic novel. Full 5 stars. Please read it. I read Alex and Ada Volume 1. This book is really interesting. It's about this guy who gets a robot. There's also a lot of drama in the world going on where robots seem to be more intelligent than people originally think. The artwork was done really well. It's not anything super flashy or colorful, but it was still just really simply beautiful, so I liked it a lot. I gave it a 4 stars. I read Just Being Audrey, which is by Margaret Cardillo and it's illustrated by Julia Dinos. I am obsessed with Audrey Hepburn, so I was so excited to pick this up. This is just a children's book that talks about Audrey Hepburn's life. And look at this. I absolutely love these illustrations. I loved it so much and I gave it 4 stars. I read Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley. It's about this girl who finds these mushrooms that have this magic ability for her to kind of go back in time and change her mistakes. It was very good. I liked it. I liked the art style. It's a fun little standalone and I gave it a 4 stars. I read Fables Book 1, which is by Bill Willingham. I loved this so much. This is about fairy tale characters who basically get run out of their homeland and so they have to stay in our world. I am really enjoying this series right now. So I gave this a 4 stars. I read another Captain Marvel comic and this is In Pursuit of Flight. It was totally different from the other Captain Marvel book that I read. I didn't like it quite as much, but it was still really good and really interesting. I gave this a 4 stars. These last 2 graphic novels I actually technically read on the first day of April, but they're 14-day books, so I have to take them back to the library soon. I figured I'd just lump them in with the rest of the books. We have Saga Volume 4. This was a great continuation to the series. It's a lot of fun, a lot of crazy stuff. Very cool artwork. I gave this a 4 stars. The last thing that I have to show you is The Fade Out by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. And this was interesting. It takes place in Hollywood in 1948 and it's a very noir type of thing. It's about a screenwriter and one of the stars of this film that he's working on ends up getting murdered. It's not quite as good as I was expecting, but it is definitely a very enjoyable, fast-paced read. So I will be continuing with the series, and I gave this a 4 stars. Finally, that's it for everything I read in March. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching all of this if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!